good night, and welcome to the conversation. I am your co-host, Alistair Sampson, and online we have Christopher Crossley, aka Mr. Crossley, sir, the
Yeah.
gentleman himself. Good night, and also coming on in a little while, we have our other co-host, Micaiah Wilson, who will be joining us here tonight. So, talk to me, man. How you going? You know, we have our COVID check, and I believe right now more than ever we need to have that check-in, man. Chris, talk to
Yeah,
me.
I agree. So good night, everyone. Once again, thank you for joining us on the conversation. And I mean, like, wow, we going into a next lockdown here in the country where, what can we say? I guess it's 95% lockdown.
Hmm.
Literally only essentials are open. So I know a lot of people who was now, let's say, recuperating from that first lockdown last year. We now have to go back into it because we have to look at, ensuring that our healthcare system isn't overrun. But for
That's
me,
right.
as always, as I look on and see what is happening, um, taking check of myself, most importantly, for me is always about my mental health. It's always about my emotional and mental health, my state of mind. So I've been constantly working on that, making sure I stay focused and don't allow myself to get pulled into the whole gloom and doom that a lot of people, are plugged into. Like, so for me, it has always been about reading more, getting more exercise in now, more than ever, most importantly,
For real.
and just keeping myself going on in that place where I'm focused. But I mean, it's sorry to see and hear that we had to go back into this time. And I know a lot of people really not or wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, if you look at the behaviors, even when the announcement was made last week, as well as earlier this week, look at the patterns that were taking place. People went into panic mode, and for some people, their outlet was food. I
Yeah.
mean, you saw places like Royal Castle. I mean, I was driving a couple of hours after the announcements, and you're seeing long lines outside of Marriott's, long lines out to KFC and all of these places. And then when they hear the total lockdown of street vending,
Same
people
thing.
people panic buy doubles and alu pie. I mean, it's only so much you can eat at any one time, but people went into panic buying in terms of that. And it speaks a lot to two things. One, in terms of where we are as a country with respect to COVID and why these measures had to take place. And also, and people might think they're subtle, but I mean, also look at the mental state of where people are in terms of it. You're going to panic mode, and this is the outlet that you look at trying to do whatever the case may be. I mean, how much doubles you could store for the weeks, how much KFC you could buy for the set of weeks and say, well, what, you're going to put on KFC until the 23rd? I mean, it's not going to work out like that. And I know we have a lot to do as a country with respect to, getting the numbers down as the case may be. And I mean, right now we on the conversation here, I mean, we will try to do our part in terms of, still reminding people about what are the safe things to do, etc. But also to, keep the lines open and for us to really chat and talk about different topics and kind of keep us in that different space instead of really going into panic mode, because panic mode doesn't make you think straight. And what we are about here is mental elevation and a number of different things here to really elevate ourselves as an individual, family, how it is in terms of that. So, I mean, for persons that listen on, I mean, don't get into the hype of going into panic mode. Look at where you are right now. Look at what can you do during this time. And I mean, right now, because we're in a lockdown, what are you going to occupy your time with? What it is that you need to do? What it is that you want to learn? What it is that you want to grow on? And these are some of the things that we had to be chatting about and things. Um, I don't know if I'm not too sure if my Kaya is on the line. Is he still on the
Hey
line?
guys,
Yeah, yeah, he's here. He's here.
All right, great, Mike. So we may not see him, but you can hear him. He is on. So Mike, talk to us, man. How are you, especially in terms of for your business as well? Um, this lockdown, how is it affecting you right now in terms of everything?
Well, first of all, good night, guys. Good night to all the listeners, the whole Mantle family. Um, you know, just as you guys said just now, there's a time where a lot of people were recovering from last year is back again, and it is a
Mhm.
trickier time now because where some people may have had a little nest egg put aside to hold on to, for most people that nest egg kind of
Mm.
gets a bit of damage. So a lot of people will be a little more panicked now. They'll be a little more stressed out now. And I think for me, my biggest thing now in this COVID lockdown period that we have currently is that um, keeping your mind clear of the chaos that people are purporting a lot of, and understanding that these things are mandatory steps. Other countries are doing the same thing. Other countries have done the same thing. And I mean, we were looking and expecting something like this to happen at some point again because for some reason Chinese tend to get relaxed real quick and have the
Yep.
what is that Chini mentality like our PM said, I think another time people just want to free up so much because it's our culture, shenanigans as they say, that they don't think always of the repercussions of the action. So I think that was a big part of this current lockdown period. And I think for me, I'm just one trying to keep myself and my family safe, and then two,
Mhm.
business wise, I think it's good that it's not the first lockdown, so that now a lot of things that we would have put in place, it's easier to reactivate them or continue what we've been doing. So it's not being affected that badly, but it is again a big change once again from what we were getting into and things we were pushing out. We have to then pull back a bit and change the approach.
Mhm. Yeah, I believe
Agreed,
that for sure.
agreed, agreed, agreed. And that is actually something I was to message you about when I know we went back into the second lockdown. And I know some current endeavor of yours would have needed certain places open. So that actually was a concern of mine. So, but I'm still glad that from that first lockdown that you actually adapted already and made the adjustments necessary to keep your business going. And I mean, a lot of people are in that same boat. And I think that is why, tonight our discussion on the what and why of personal branding and doing that change right now, it is a lot more personal than it would have been because of the world no longer be it's not business as usual anymore. It is no longer just the normal run the mill. You actually have to put a little more effort in. And I know right now, because of the lockdown, a lot of people may be in a position where their mind may not be in the best place. I know right now, you know, you might be feeling like having goals and dreams may all of a sudden feel expensive to have. Like
Mm.
all of a sudden, it feels like a lot to have these feelings at a time and in a world where everything is just, it may feel like life has a vendetta against you. And this is where we need you to realize that no more than ever, is where you actually put the work in on yourself. And that personal development is what will actually help develop your personal brand. All right. So just to give an introduction to it all, now personal branding, I mean, has never been more important than it is today with
Mhm.
the advent and the increasing popularity of social media and digital media. There are many brands out there, all right, but there's one you, right? There's many platforms you could go on and build that following, build that audience that will allow you to be successful. But there's also that much competition as well. When it comes to the online space, that is why personal branding and branding in general has never been more essential, right? The world is
Mm.
constantly evolving. We said no, right? Trying to keep up with trends. And the only way to stay relevant is by having a quality personal brand. And that way people will, through seeing how you are, that will actually add value to your business. Right? Personal branding is for everyone, regardless of whether it's a business type or industry, or if it's something that you're trying to build as a public figure. Maybe you're a speaker, maybe you're a personal trainer, maybe you're somebody that does courses. So, a lecturer, anything like that. So, some of the biggest brands today actually have that large personal brand behind them, and naturally the feelings and impressions that you obtain about these people or people will feel about you and their work is what will actually propel people to want to work more with you, right? No one is immune to personal branding and the effects. All right, you just need to stay ahead of what's going on, and that being said, there's some good news and some bad news. Good news being a lot of you are already working on your personal brand. That's the good news.
Okay.
The bad news is a lot of you didn't know you are already working on your personal brand. All right. You're no longer anonymous online. All right. Your personal brand is out there, but you control narrative. You control what people's perception will be. Right. And doing this now as you develop yourself will help also remove the barrier that exists between yourself, what you want people to know about you, and what the things you stand for, your values and whatnot, especially when it comes to those that actually have a business, because people don't only just do your support your business, they support you, most importantly.
Okay. I think a lot of times when people hear personal branding, um, and it brought up a good point there with respect to the whole area of social media, because and you could talk to me about it, where I realize that a person may have one face on LinkedIn and something completely different on Facebook, something else different on Instagram, something different on Snapchat, something different on TikTok. With respect to like your personal brand itself, is it that everything must be consistent along the same way, or could it be totally different, or could it have certain elements of difference but still have something underlying that's common across the board that speaks about you? Just want to get a little insight on that.
Well, the truth is, you really don't want to be managing identities, right? Because in the simplest form, your personal brand is a combination of who you are, what you're doing, and how you're doing it, right? It will encompass, your ethics, your values, what is your purpose. It will actually help show your character, and this in turn will now, show how the audience you're following will perceive you. So if, you know, on one platform is the Zessa and another platform you're the Wesser, that's it that kind of clash, we actually don't want happening, because then you're trying to be something for everyone, and then you end up serving no one because people don't know what you're actually about.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
I like that statement. Trying to be everything to everyone and serving no one.
correct.
I
It's
like that one.
brand
Yeah.
confusion that happens, and that can happen with your personal brand as well. Because I mean, one group of people know you as this person, and then the next group of people know you as something else completely. Like, which side are you actually playing on? Because at some point, something is going to be said about you. One side is going to deny, one side is going to confirm. So that's why I'm saying, if it is that you need to have that unison across the board, because to me, most people are who they are regardless. And that will come out. So that's why I said the bad news for some people is they didn't know they was already working on their personal brand. From the minute you walk out your door, you are representing so much things. You're representing your family name, you're representing the area you're from, the country you're from, you're representing your business, So it is a lot that you have to understand that you're managing as is. But when you're out there and either you're gossiping or you're speaking about, you're having lewd conversations, you're having stuff that should not, or you would not want people referring to when it comes to you, then that's stuff you need to look at.
Yeah.
That's stuff you need to look at. So there's many ways to wrap that. But what I want to actually focus on tonight as well is knowing that when you work on yourself, that personal development part that we should be taking the time on right now, the things that you would have wanted to do, firstly, the things that you may have thought of starting to actually, whether it's to see about yourself more or to see about your business, now is the time to actually put that into action more than, getting in your own head and feeling depressed. It will happen, yes, I'm not saying no. But now is the time more than ever that we should actually be looking at pushing that, which would actually help your brand.
Great. I'm glad I brought up that area of personal development because I think for some people believe personal development is watching that motivation video on YouTube and Facebook. I mean, all that's well and good, but personal development, or at least maybe from my perspective, is more in terms of application of things to help elevate your growth mentally, spiritually, physically, etc. What are your thoughts on that as well with respect to your take on personal development? Because I think some people really need to hear what it is and what it would entail, and that element behind it.
You're talking about the actual elements that would make up the personal brand?
Well, yeah, along the line, because I think some people take for granted that personal development is about, well, they watch a motivation video, they feel good, and well, that is personal development. But is it more than that?
Yeah, it is more than that, because the desired outcome has to be there. Just as we would have spoken about with goal setting and stuff like that. If you're actively working on developing a personal brand, you would have outlined basically what are your goals, what are your values, what do you want to be known for to begin with. And that is something that a lot of people don't consider. What do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known for the person that's good at mathematics, the person that speaks about politics, the person that's a personal trainer, the person that's a leader? What do you want to be known for? And are the things you're sharing or speaking about carrying those values and showing those characteristics? I could watch a million motivational videos that will do absolutely nothing if I actually don't put something towards getting the outcome for the goals that I said that I want for my brand. All right. It comes like I always say, like when it comes to suits, I could put a pig in a suit, but it will still roll in mud. Right. So if it is the goal is to refine yourself, it's more than a suit. You have to deal with your character. You have to deal with how you carry yourself, the conversations you're having, the things you're putting online. Because I think we spoke about this before, the ABCD of it, your appearance, your behavior, how you communicate, and your digital presence. These are all things that make up your personal brand. And, doing some self-inspection at the start is very important as well. Looking at yourself and seeing where you are, what image you have already been portraying, and what you need to adjust. Right? Very important points. Because when you have a certain appearance, right, you want to be consistent with it, one, and you want to be trustworthy. And if those things don't happen, when people do get to know you better, do get more into what you're about, if that consistency isn't there, you'll find the trust wouldn't build either. That trustworthiness will evaporate. So it's a lot more than you just getting up in the morning and saying, well, to develop my personal brand means I will watch a video or I'll read a book, spin wrong 3 times, and I'm fixed. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. And I mean, because the truth is, if you think about it, right? If I ask you to think about some people, right? Like if I ask you, and let me ask you guys, and you'll just tell me what you think first. If I say think about Steve Urkel, what comes to mind first?
Pants full of suspenders, big glasses, he laugh, the shoes, how he like Laura Winslow, that kind of stuff. That actual image, that nerd image.
Right. And if I ask you to think about James Bond,
Suave, the black suit, the shirt, shaken, not stirred in terms of the martini, the gadgets, that kind of thing, smooth with the ladies, that kind of stuff, right? That's what
right,
I remember about James Bond.
right. And that is because, I mean, I'm talking about fictional characters here, but it's easy to see how the consistency with what was shown or given about them creates the character, right?
Okay.
It wasn't just James Bond on one day and then, non-James Bond on the next. It throughout everything, there is that consistency, right? So just as you mentioned, across all platforms, social media is such a powerful tool right now. We don't even realize we are brands. Our accounts online are full of things we care about, our interests, our experiences. We it's literally like a highlight reel of our lives, right? And they are all the things that people see and get used to about us. And a lot of people don't realize that. Because even employers, they Google you. That's why some things are important. They Google you. Clients will Google you. Sorry, I almost bite my tongue there. All right, Google you. So it is imperative that we look at the things we're sharing. We look at what we actually want to portray and do that well. Right? It is the relationships that you're building. All right. And based on whatever endeavor that you have, it's what you want to be known for and what people will recognize you for.
Yeah, boy. It's interesting that you brought up that whole, you brought up something even about branding. Even the statement that you made just now, they will Google you. Before Google came out, what people used to say when it comes to searching for people, just searching. And now, I mean, because of Google as a company itself and how they have pushed themselves, I mean, I know it's not personal branding, but the whole effect of how branding, how it has become a household name. Hey, go and Google that. You can go and Google that person. Because of that whole influence of how that brand has been doing, the reputation that it has done, that once you go here, you're guaranteed to find what you're looking for. Because that is the reputation that built. And as you rightfully said, if it is, we talk about it from a personal level, what is the reputation that you have built as a person? Correct. Is it that you're consistently the person that they can rely on you for this and that thing? Are you a person, no matter what you are the life of the party, so they know based on how your image is there, once you come to a party, that is it, everybody just happy go lucky because you there. What is your brand? What is your image? I'm glad I brought up that and that connection behind it. So you went down a particular point in terms of the personal branding and what kind of controls people have with respect to personal branding. So I mean, I give a couple of examples with respect to what content you post as the case may be, and but what other controls people could do, at least in terms of their social media, with respect to maybe having a lot more control of their brand per se. Because I know we have persons that, I mean, right now we're on Facebook, so we know persons who connected here or on YouTube, what it is that persons can do.
Well, in terms of social media presence, right? People often inclined to follow one another based on similarities of interest, right? And I am not one to tell people just do stuff that's trending. But one of the controls actually would be that. So let's say you are an authority figure or you believe that you have some knowledge you can share on a particular topic. All right. You can get into groups. You can start your own probably chats on your news feeds, whether it's Instagram, your social media. platforms that is, and you can actually put the information out there based on what could be happening. So like right now, we're dealing with COVID, right? So something big on the table would be nutrition, keeping your immune system healthy and stuff like that. And if you're a person that is a nutritionist or a doctor or within that field in general, you can actually engage people based on those things, and it's something that is trending. So you'll find a lot of people now would sit up and pay attention or read your post and see if they can learn from you, and they will actually want to engage with you. Because and the more people that engage with you, you gain more credibility rather than just being that person there looking on the screen, right? So that's one way. A second way is actually the opposite of that, where not because there is something happening and you have an opinion means that you need to actually share. So people would get to know you specifically for being present with things that are credible. Instead of trying to be in every conversation, which a lot of people like to do. They like to show off thinking they have a PhD in everything, right? They must say something. And they don't realize by doing that, they're actually doing more damage.
Yeah.
To their brand.
The PhD in know-it-ology.
Exactly. A lot of people do that nonsense, feel like I must say something. I don't realize that they are actually hurting the way people think about them.
True.
You know, good to see you, Mike, by the way.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, man, good to be seen.
Yeah. So so that is why people need to do it. And then thirdly, something that another control would be what you do offline. All right, because a lot of people, yes, online presence is important now, but you don't just close deals online. You don't just engage with people online. Your offline game, as we would say, needs to be that way as well. You know, what are people saying about you when you are not in the room, right? And then are people, you know, when people see you on the street, do they want to engage with you? You know, the conversations you probably would have at meetings. I'm talking about probably post pre-COVID, sorry, and pre-last lockdown, when you actually may have had a couple of meetings. You know, the engagement and the conversations you would have during those times, or would have had during those times, is also part of building that brand, because people will now, once again, come to you and see you as that authority figure. But people tend not to want to, I don't know, what's it with, appear to be a certain way, or a talkative person, or know it all and all that. But there's a time and place for everything. That's why I'm saying one of the controls of it would be how you handle yourself offline as well. You know, when you're not in the room, what are people saying? And that would have been because of the conversations you probably had with them in person, or stuff they've seen you shared, or actually hearing it from somebody else.
Correct.
You know, and that is three controls there.
Yeah, and you're right in terms of that, because even in terms of offline conversations, it has to be consistent as well too.
Correct.
It can't be talking one particular thing to another crowd and then the next particular thing to the next crowd. Trinidad is a small country at times, and people know the world is small if you think about it. The world is small. Somebody must know somebody from somewhere. And if it is that you have one view on one topic, talking to this person on the same topic, you have something else with a different set of people, because you just want to mix and match and just want to go with the flow wherever it is. You're not serving yourself, and you're not serving others with respect to that. So you're right, that's a good point there.
Yeah.
What it just on that, Mike? Oh, sorry.
No, I was actually going to ask Mike the same thing, because I know for him, like, his brand is one thing. We're talking about Monster Factory, right?
Yeah.
But then we also have to know the person, like, you know, what they will know you as the trainer for. So that is something. So I know for you, that will actually be a big thing, because there will be a lot of one-on-one engagement.
Mhm.
I think a lot of times when it comes to personal branding, a lot of people will pay attention a lot to like I say, their personal spaces where they do the everyday stuff, where they interact with people on an everyday basis. They don't always assume that it has an impact the same way as a social media now. But your day-to-day life does have an attachment to your personal branding online. You know, so there are a lot of people who I've dealt with even before COVID that you talk to them on Facebook, you message them about something, you talk to them about a particular thing, and then when you meet them, totally different person.
Correct.
Two different vibes, two different energy. When you look at their posts and stuff, it's a very different, a very big contrast to what they present. And it makes you sometimes question the validity of what they tell you online.
Correct.
You know? So other people have to understand that it's all fine and well to have all the really cool pictures, all the really cool videos. But when you step away from social media, there are people who are watching you that you may not know watching you. There are people who follow your social media and follow your day to day, and they will question and show that it's a small place. And because of the internet and social media, the world is a small place. So something you do somewhere else
Yep.
in a small circle could be spoken about somewhere totally different, and that could affect the image that people see about you and that kind of thing. And I think we don't always take stock of that, so we don't always appreciate the fact that we need to be not just true to ourselves in both cases, being online and in person, because we want people to know to genuinely know our brand and genuinely accept I'm the person behind the brand too. You understand? I'm the brand that you're looking at. I'm not a stock image
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
attached to a concept. You
Correct.
understand?
Yeah.
But I am that. I am what I say I am. I am what I say I do. I am what I tell others to do even. So I think all that comes into even making a personal brand just valid. Just
Correct.
making sure all those areas side together. Yeah.
Correct.
And the thing is this, personal branding is not anything that is brand new. I mean, prior to
Yeah.
social media, personal branding has been around. I mean, if it is that persons who even grew up in the 80s watching personalities on TV and they stick education maybe and then meet them up in real life and realize they may not be the person and all of these things like that. So I mean, social media just basically is an additional platform that shows the person or maybe the concept of that person a lot more. And it just
Yeah.
gives a lot more people that platform in terms of what it is. And now more than ever, I believe that how we represent ourselves, we need to do it a lot more responsibly now with respect to how we put our personal brand out there, because again, a lot of people seeing us around the place. I mean, even right now on social media, you could get tagged in a picture, go and do, you may not have loaded up a picture, but somebody tag you.
Correct.
And that is you in some part. And you may have done some video about alcohol is bad and say no to drugs, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody tag you taking crack, or some kind or
That's a bit
some,
extreme.
That would be
That's a
contradicting.
that's a bit extreme.
well, I mean,
Say no to drugs.
and you're sniffing a line.
Yeah, that's.
The tagging.
I mean,
Yeah.
but then if somebody why did they see you doing that?
Yeah. But like I think like even the concept of personal branding to me, like even before I started to do fitness, when it came down to football, for example, in secondary school and sports, they'll say what you're known for back in them days, right? What I know you're for, they know you're for doing this, they know you're for doing that. But that is basically a personal brand as well. So like in school, one of my things was I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to be known as an athlete coming out of school.
Right.
And for me to do that, I had to be involved in athletic things. Right? That was like a different part of it now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I couldn't be the one that when it have sports, I feel them to listen to take part. You understand? Because I had to be the one that carry the flag.
Yeah.
You understand? So that I'll be known as that person. And other than that, it was something I was passionate about. So I was always involved. And I think like leading from that into the job market, your resume is a depiction of your personal brand. On a job interview, you're presenting your personal brand.
Correct.
You understand? When you meet a girl, you're presenting your personal brand. Hopefully, you're presenting it
We hope so, yeah.
and realistically and true, right?
Yeah.
And when you meet her parents, think of this. When you met your current wives or your girlfriends or whoever, I'm talking to everybody else after, their parents, do you think what she told them about you and what they saw about you was the same?
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So you play to her like, and I used to watch my mom and dad inspect people now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I used to laugh at the fact that my sister can come and say what I want. When mommy meets you, mommy go and pick you apart mentally and be like, no, that don't add up. You know what I mean? And it's because if you're not true to your personal brand, you're not getting true. You know what I mean? And I think like for me growing up stage to stage, I began timing. I didn't even know that's personal branding back then.
Correct.
But my thing was always that this is who I want to be. This is who I want to be seen as, what I want to be known for.
Correct.
And this kind of thing. So I had to then actively do these things that would represent that. And it was no matter of me putting on, because even when I'm in my own personal space, that is just the way I am. Because if you look at, I sent somebody this the other day, if you look at people's YouTube playlists, as in what they
listen to,
their history, what they watch, what they listen to, you get an idea of who they are in a lot of ways. What they search for. I know we can all search for some random stuff.
Yeah.
You'll see a trend most times in what they look for, and it shows you where their mind is constantly at on these kind of things. So I think all these things, when people look at themselves, they need to realize that it's not so much about, going and make a list of these items and this is what a personal branding strategy is. It's first figuring out who the hell you are. You understand? And other people try to brand themselves in a business, but don't know themselves as an individual.
Correct.
And that's like going back to secondary school, girls, life, mommy and daddy, whatever. I realized what personal branding kind of really is,
Yeah. And yes, you said so much things there. Main important thing at the end there, a lot of people don't know who they are. So they don't even realize that they were actually building that brand about themselves. And you see like how you actively had in your mind that, hey, I want to be known as an athlete. A lot of people don't even realize that it might have felt like second nature. Like, hey, I just like sports. I want to play football, so I play football. But then are you known as a team player? Are you known as a snob, as a somebody else hold the ball? You could also be known as so much different things within sports as itself. And even the example you gave there about, for us, for gents, for men, when we were meeting, our love interest parents. And I mean, I might be selling myself out here a little bit, but, for me, I already knew what I was about, right? And I already had a way where people decided to walk in the room with a spray and hypnotize people, but they don't realize there's a strategy behind that. So like the very first conversation I had with my wife's dad, it was of a certain caliber. So he recognized right away, all right, this dude is a thinker. So once I got him engaged in that kind of conversation, and it wasn't just a random by the way kind of conversation, it actually was deep conversation that got everything else going. But then that was actually my plan. That was actually the plan. So there are ways, and rightfully so, once you have that goal, once you have what you have in mind that you want to do, you then know what you have to do. But a lot of people, like you said, don't know themselves to begin with, to even decide how they're actually going to work on themselves or what brand. And like you said as well, we didn't even know the term personal branding. Branding was just known for businesses, and it's only, I would say that's a new age type of thing. Branding was, I would say that is a year 2000 type of thing, when people started to talk about personal brand, because they realized that potential clients, consumers would actually pay more for a product that is backed by a reputable brand.
Right.
consumers don't just want to engage in a business with a brand. They actually would rather interact with the person, right? Because they know that direct interaction, hey, this person's actually helping me live that dream. They're actually helping me see what it is I wanted to see all the while, even though it's through their business. That person not seeing the business, that person is seeing you.
Yeah.
Right. So therefore, a good personal brand builds relationships, and just like they would interact with you, they will actually get that more let's see, authentic. That authenticity would be there, and actually that loyalty now would build as you engage with them on that one-on-one, and they will likely stay with you and become more loyal to you than switch to somebody else who doesn't give them that same type of interaction. So but you rightfully said, a lot of people don't even know where to start when it comes to that, because in their mind it's not even something that's called that. And a lot of people who are saying they're building their personal brand don't realize what they're doing is actually building their business brand using a personal brand strategy. I think that's actually two different things,
Yeah.
because your
Yeah.
personal brand will always be about you and your values, your character, over your business vision and mission.
Yeah.
So it's two separate things. But a lot of people think that their personal brand is their business. No, you're trying to build your business brand with a personal brand strategy. That is, to me, that is two different things, because they sell their business, but
Yes.
they just keep that it's their face.
Mhm.
Yes, you're the face of the brand, but do I know you? No, I know solely about your business. I know about your
Yeah.
business mission and vision, but I don't know what are the things you stand for. And a lot of people now, and we will see the millennials and whatnot, but a lot of people now look at the owners of companies and look at what do they stand for. Are they about sustainability? Are they about helping the environment? Are they about, philanthropy and giving back to others?
Mhm.
Are the products they're making, coming from the right places and not harmful to animals? And they look at the person and see what it is they stand for. And most times, like I mentioned earlier, if it is you connect with them on that level, they will follow you,
Yeah.
will want to know
That's,
more.
that's a good point that I brought up with respect to the person and the business itself. So, like a lot of people, I mean, I'm just calling out people, influencers, and I'm not speaking. A lot of people know about Kim Kardashian
Right.
more than the two or three companies that she's associated with as her business. They'll know more about the person and gravitate towards the person. And if that person endorses a product, they will go and buy that product because of who the person is. It is not just about, well, the bricks and mortar business and a nice logo and all these things like that. I think a lot of times people think that personal branding is a big financial cost. Well, I have to design something and I have to do something like that. But for persons who are listening right now, what, like if you had to have a checklist of things that they need to start doing right now, what kind of checklist that we can give to them tonight to say, okay, this is what you can start doing in terms of building your brand or improving on your existing brand right now?
All
What
right.
along that line?
Well, that checklist is actually, very simple, and people could grasp it, because it's stuff that we actually been touching on so much already in the mental
Oh,
conversation.
yeah.
When we talk about goal setting, doing SMART goals and stuff like that, because your personal brand will be how you differentiate yourself from everyone else, how you show you're better, more qualified, more credible. And it's not that you're trying to be persuasive, it's how you're actually trying to position yourself and present yourself a certain way over everybody else.
Right.
So that checklist, all right, let's start with what Makaya mentioned. Um, Getting to know yourself, especially now we're on lockdown, COVID is around. Spend that time to get to know yourself. All right. Take that time to even check on the stuff that's affecting you, that mental health, this mental health awareness month. Spend that time to check on those things, see where your resilience levels are at. Do things, something you see online or somebody you say triggers you easily, and do you just, shoot from the hip and just respond instead of internalizing and actually understanding what it is before you just let go, right, and vent, right. So yeah, so being clear on who you are, knowing what your values are, right? Because once you know yourself, you'll start to know what your values are, what you want to represent. Do you want to represent somebody of a certain standards and quality, somebody that likes certain things? Like a lot of people know me for suits. They know I love suits. They know that I love the gentleman way of lifestyle, right? So people naturally would come and have certain conversations with me about that. All right. So you know your values. Next thing would be, how do you want to portray it? Do you want to actually engage in more conversations? Do you want to join groups and have these conversations? Do you want to learn from other people around you who are on that same mindset or on that same type of topic or in that same business? So you can actually begin learning from them. Because all this is you developing you. So when you start to share, you give a better picture and image of yourself. You present yourself a little better.
Yeah.
Right? You need to look at what you have already done, because you may also have to do some damage control. All right. So the time that you're putting in to develop these steps right now, you have recognized some of the things that you would have done that you should not have done. And I'm not saying go back now and try to apologize to people. What I'm saying now is that you now actually have to do that much so that what you did now becomes a shadow. It now becomes something that people would not even consider. They will recognize the change in you and the things that you're about, right?
Yeah.
But that is something that happens as you develop regardless. But it does help you remain, up to date and let things change, as they say, organically or naturally. You're not going to try to force it, right? Because it's far better to cultivate the strategy from the outset than having to do damage control.
True.
And having to, as I say, reinvent yourself, especially online. That does take away a lot. And I always like to give the example of what people know you for, because, I'll always remember somebody told somebody else that they saw me somewhere after certain hours. And everybody there was like, nah, that's a lie. You would never see Chris by so and so doing that. That is a lie. And the person was like, nah, if so much people. And I was actually glad for that, because I was like, what? Trying to put me in place, but my reputation went before me.
Right.
My brand went before me. The way I am, the things I stand for and represent went before me and represented me even when I wasn't there. And that is the effect that you want happening. So, all right, so are we talking about the points that people can use? So we're talking about know yourself, know the values and the stuff that you want to represent, how you want to share it, right? And of course, where you want to share it. Are you going to, I mentioned, yes, being in groups, whether it's in person, and well, right now we have Zoom and social media and stuff like that. There are these groups that you can interact with, those who have iPhones and can be on Clubhouse. If you're on, what's this other, can't remember the name of the messenger that you could actually have other groups in that people share stuff, and you can actually engage other people to show that you are an authority on a certain topic and that you're credible. All right. So those, I would say those four are where people should start. And of course, like I said, as you recognize what you need to change, you would also see what you have done that you need to correct.
Thanks for that, Chris. Just to add on, I see June Smith Simon had brought up a particular point that you're right. It's not just about branding in terms of your business, as the case may be. Even how it is that you're at work. your work ethics, how your mode of dress is, the conversations that you carry on with people at work. Even all of that while you're on the workplace is your personal brand. So for even persons right now who are home because they're out of work temporary for the next few weeks because of the lockdown and things like that, start looking at yourself. What is your personal brand known for even on the workplace? Is it for always coming late? Is it that you're always tight on a Monday morning when you come in? Is it that you're sleeping on the job? Is it something good? Is it that you are always on time? Is it that you're having the right conversation with people? You know, all of these things like that leads to a personal brand. A personal brand could actually do a positive for you or do a negative for you, especially when it comes to being on the workplace as well. So that was a good point that was brought up there as well. What about you, Mike? I have any other thoughts with respect to personal brand? What people need to have a check for with respect to it, in addition to the 4 items that Chris brought up?
Those are 4 pretty solid items, to be honest. Just hit on 2 things though. Like one, we had to take into consideration. I know Chris was talking just now about like, well, if you see something online and the way you respond and these different things. The funny truth is that there are different types of people and there are different purposes for which they are either on social media or online for. And sometimes the people who do these things, Chris, like the rash comments and certain behaviors, that is their personal brand.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that's what they seek their fame off of or whatever else. And I mean, we want to be inclusive as much as possible here. So even for those individuals, if I'm speaking from a perspective of really actually like social media and people looking to make a name for themselves in certain ways or whatever.
Yeah.
If you are looking to do a YouTube channel, for example, or Instagram or whatever, and you have a lot of lives talking about people business or current affairs or whatever, and you have a particular style of doing it, we're not saying that you had to change that. What we're saying is that if that is your brand, understand that is your brand.
Yeah.
That is what you're going to be known for. That's what you're going to be known for. You can't then be like that all over the place. And then when they meet somebody face to face, they're like, well, who's this? You understand?
Yeah.
Because for a lot of people, they need to understand that they are if you make yourself into a brand business, when you talking here, if you have an image or a brand that you make as a business, sometimes you can be a different individual from that brand. I'll give an example. This guy, this Jamaican dancer singer, Alkaline.
Right.
He had the for a while he had the black contacts for his eyes to look like you know, and he spoke in an interview at early stage of his career, and he's something like this real bad boy. And then he hear other stories that make you realize that he's not. Okay?
Yeah.
And then there was an interview with him, this guy, Tommy Lee. And Tommy spoke about the fact that when he came into the industry, this is what they wanted.
Right.
He had for a while, he had it's not necessarily who he was. You understand?
Yep.
Look at T-Pain. T-Pain is known for what? Autotune.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he can real sing though,
but he can sing. But that is the image that they wanted. That is what was going to be the brand that they put out there. And when you look at T-Pain now, a lot of his personality is the exact same. It's just that there's no attitude. So even when you put out that brand or image out there to sell, a lot of that is still you as an individual.
Correct.
But there may minor tweaks you have to do to make it presentable to our audience.
Correct.
But innately, when you look at T-Pain's music and T-Pain now, you kind of see the same person, a fun-loving guy who like to have fun, who is very energetic and pumped about what he do, and is the same person. It's just that what they're doing for in the day, which is the autotune, he don't do that no more. You understand? But a big part of who he is still present.
It's still there.
You know, so I want to make that clear because sometimes I feel that for a lot of people who want to, in particular industries, they may find it difficult to be, how to put it, exactly who they are on a regular basis, day to day, and be the image that the market needs.
Yes.
You understand?
Correct.
So that particular thing is more for the business side of things and that kind of thing. You know, and it happens. But even then, you have to find that system which works, you know?
Correct.
For everybody else, like, I mean, like Miss June Simon said, it's a across the board thing.
Yep.
And I think the only point I'll add to what the four that Chris would have mentioned is understand that actions speak louder than words.
Correct.
You know, so whatever we want to portray ourselves to be, we have to be actioning those steps consistently. You know, and I heard you guys speak about personal development earlier and people reading books and whatever. The biggest part of personal development, the hardest part, is not just reading the book or watching the video, but it's doing the changes necessary after the fact.
Correct.
So, you know, I see a lot of people who post a lot of motivational content and a lot of positive stuff. And when you actually talk to them, they're negative, like, whoa.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm confused. And then there are people who post consistently depressing stuff and then want you to work with them. And I'm like, yo. You know what I mean?
Very true.
So you have to understand that it's more than just saying, well, this is what I want to be and who I want to be, but actually becoming that and doing the actions necessary, taking these steps that we spoke about just now, putting them into practice on a regular and consistent basis, and not just doing this all the time.
Correct.
You know, I think that's the only thing I can add to it, because people sometimes tell the story, but they've never lived their story.
Correct.
They try to tell it like, this is what I want you to see. But I'm like, I'm watching, you ever watch a show and somebody tell you this movie was real bad, it had real action, and you watch it and be like, no, it kind of didn't though.
Yeah.
it wasn't that good of a movie though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there are people who are real movie critics who will watch a movie and you think it wasn't bad, and they will dissect it down intact. And you'll be like, oh, well, I didn't see that at all. Similarly, if you're going for a job, there'll be an interviewer who will dissect your social media, Google you, figure you out. And when you can't present this well put together in the video, they'll be like, you might even make it into the interview room. You might have the best looking resume. But you might never make it into the room, because they'll be like, I tell you, there's some perspective of a person. I was a supervisor once. I Googled a lot of potential staff members.
See? Yep.
And a lot of potential bosses that you know, your boss coming in, let me Google this person and see what kind of boss they're going to be. You know, and you get a feel of the person before they get there. And then they kind of, I mean, if we take for granted the fact that people search us and get their own image of us before we even meet,
you will do a lot of things different.
You will do plenty of things different.
You do a lot of things.
A lot of things. Like when I go and post certain selfies, think twice a little bit. Is this really something I want to be out there? You know?
Yeah, I don't need to post that world star video.
No. It's like for me,
that pasa dance, man.
Yeah, because like I'll be honest, guys. Like I have a lot of content for social media, and I'm pretty private a lot of times, so I'm very cautious about what I post. And people tell you, you have real content to post, and I'm like, I don't know if I want people to like, I don't know if I want that out there, or if I want, you know. And it's not that I'm saying that you have to. There are pictures you can post of yourself that look good, but then where your location is might look like, what are you doing there?
You need to edit. You need to edit yourself.
You need to be cautious and know where you're going to share, because every little thing could damage it. Like you said, flying off the cuff. I've seen people get in an argument and then post something on social media and it's like
full event, all emotion.
Where that come from? You know, and people will make assumptions about it. So just, you know, understand that what you put out there is going to represent you at some point.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I think it
go ahead.
No, what I realize as well too, sometimes your personal brand could actually grow beyond you.
It does.
And it could grow beyond you in a positive way and in a negative way.
Correct.
Take this for example, and I do apologize to persons who have this thing, but you may see somebody acting a particular way and they say, that's a Karen. you know?
Mhm.
And you believe it or not, there's actually a YouTube channel called Karen Gone Wild. And it's a
Yeah.
consistent
Yeah.
attitude based
The
on
show.
one person behavior or action that just branded
Yeah.
beyond their name itself. So you have to be also responsible for even the positive and the negative, because as you grow in your business or as you grow on your job, sometimes your brand could grow beyond you. You know, somebody might say, hey, you pull off a Alistair there, boy, you pull off a Chris there, boy, or you pull off a Micaiah there, boy. Is it
Yeah.
positive or is it negative? So
Yeah.
all of these things you have to think about with respect to the brand that you say is your personal brand, because eventually it will grow beyond you. And what is
Yeah.
it going to represent? So we
Correct.
always have to be cognizant of that as well too.
What you said there is actually the origin of Murphy's Law. I'm not going to go through the story, but I'll let people go and research that. Research the origin of Murphy's Law, that saying, and you will actually hear what Alistair just mentioned there about your brand growing larger than you and becoming that through time, because we all say Murphy's Law, right? But
Yeah.
going back to what Micaiah touched on as well, that whole word of becoming, that people don't understand. What do you want to become? But it starts with knowing who you are. But that becoming part, reading all the books and the videos, but not implementing it, it does not help you become that person,
Yeah.
right? And then once again, something else you touched on there with people who had Google you. I always share this example. When I was looking at a particular business and the business owner called me, dead serious, I'll never forget, at a lunchtime, called me from Dubai. And I went into the conference room to get some quiet. And I was about to, explain something. And he stopped me and he started like, Chris, it's okay. I already checked your Facebook and whatnot. And you are the exact person we want to engage with X, Y, and Z. And I paused. I was like, okay, short meeting. Because he already went through. He Googled me.
Yeah.
And he already went through all my social media, Twitter, Instagram. It wasn't Instagram then, it was Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And he already did his research. So, I am actually glad that the things I shared and there was always of a positive nature, you know.
Yeah.
Now, and also, as we speak about positive nature and the people that are actually probably doing the opposite, let's talk about this popular, or I should say, popular enough name, Kevin Samuels, right? Right now, he didn't start off doing his videos to be controversial or anything like that. Because if you know him from the beginning, he used to do reviews of fragrances, right? And now that probably been like 2-3 years ago, right? He used to review fragrances, and then he got into speaking about relationships, what men and women do, and then it has reached where he speaks on the things that women want from men but don't want to do themselves. And people would look at his way of presenting himself and how he responds to women, and they might see him as, some people might find him a douche, some people might find it controversial. But guess what? That audience he has built literally go there for that.
Yep.
They go to hear the heated conversations, they go to hear the clapbacks, the responses, they go to hear the issues that people don't want to talk about. They go for that. So it didn't even start with that. But so somebody who may now start to listen to him, they might say, well, he's real controversial, but he's act like a idiot. Why he's got to talk to women? So why he respond so harsh? But that is just how his brand is. That is literally what he is known for right now. When you go to a Kevin Samuels video, you're like, yeah, you already know what's going to come.
Like, ooh.
Yeah, like waiting for the bomb he going to drop on these ladies today. The truth. People literally go for that now. So so that is very true that there are people that are building their brand in that kind of way as well, and it works. But that has to also be what you are willing to do, and the response you get to it is what you have to be willing to take as well, because there will be positive and there will be negative kickbacks based on the brand that you're building. That is unavoidable. But once you stay consistent and you know who you're actually trying to reach, you're going to reach those people regardless. but you have to be ready and willing to take those things. And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know?
And be consistent with it, because I think
You have
sometimes a lot of
to.
people stop too short. They try to get their self out there, and this could be even on the job. Like, I remember when I was working for a particular company, I I don't know. It's like, you know, you reach a point in time in a job where um you feel the need to elevate yourself, to pursue either a higher position or to pursue some type of a growth in the organization.
Correct.
And I had to figure out, okay, I had to kind of in my mind mentally go back to what got me to elevate the first time, to get back into that mode, to get back into repeating that process again, to get myself to move forward again. Because then sometimes you get in a rut on your job where you're not really feeling to, or you get comfortable, I should say.
Correct.
You're comfortable where you're at. And you know, you pause for a while and you kind of forget the things you're doing to get you in that position in the first place. You kind of slow down doing them as effectively as you was doing them before. And then the time comes when you feel as though you want to push a little harder or get to another level. And you realize what got you there in the first place was your personal brand, who you are as an individual, what you do effectively, efficiently, how you care about yourself. And then you realize, okay, the reason I'm not moving is because I haven't stuck to a proper representation of my personal brand.
Correct.
You know, so like thinking about it now, I had to literally just go back to more effectively being myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And not just like winging it a little bit, like I ain't taking it too serious, I ain't really pushing as hard, but yeah, I see little sparks of myself coming out here and there. And I realized, I say, yo, if I need to move faster, I just need to be myself on a like louder. And I say louder, I don't mean shouting at anybody. I mean like being
Be more present.
be more present, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes people think that they have to reinvent themselves when they can just look back sometimes and see what made them successful on work, in a relationship, whatever. There are a lot of relationships now, I think, that could be fixed if either party or at least one of the parties wants to go back to being the person that they were when they first presented themselves to the relationship.
Correct.
You know,
Unlocking
that
themselves.
getting back to their personal brand and not just being what your circumstances led it to be in.
Correct.
Because I think your personality is based upon the experience that they went through, and they just go with the flow and they lose themselves in that. But if you really and truly stop and take note and realize, you know, I'm so far from being myself.
Yeah.
You know, that and I even come to my space anymore and I realize I need to go back to being me.
Agreed.
And things can just start to click.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Wow. Well, yeah. So I mean, so much we touched on tonight. Just to get things going. But you know, I mean, we really wanted to start tonight with the what and the why, mainly because we know a lot of people are going through that difficult space right now with the lockdown and COVID, and they may not know what their next steps may be to try to get themselves in a better place, to try to uplift themselves. So, you know, as you're developing your personal brand and you encompass it with personal development, you put yourself on a whole different level. You differentiate yourself from other people, and you position yourself, you know, in a place that you actually want to be, that you can progress to even further, that you can make progress even further, I should say.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean, great conversation tonight. Next week we'll actually be going a little deeper into the actual steps, all right, of creating your personal brand. You know, we touched on four of them tonight, but next week we'll actually do a little deeper dive into each one. You know, so we don't want to give too much tonight and overwhelm you with information. So make sure you're ready to join us here again next week as we dive deep into the strategies behind creating your personal brand.
Great. Thanks for that. So, I mean, for all those who listen there, this month we diving into the area of personal branding. So make sure you be part of the series itself. If you are on Facebook Live, go ahead, like this live video that we have here. It says a lot and will help us out. Make sure you also share it as well too. For persons who are not on Facebook Live, we also have our YouTube channel. So go ahead, like and subscribe. Go ahead, share this video with persons. We are also on YouTube as well. We'll put the YouTube video on the Facebook Live. So for persons who may want to share this with persons who are not on Facebook Live, we have the video there for you. So go ahead, like, subscribe, go ahead and share to as much persons as possible. All right. So again, we are glad for all of those who have been tuning in. Thank you all so much for connecting with us on the conversation itself. And folks, again, remember, during this time that we have here, let's take the opportunity to work on ourselves. Let's build that personal brand. It could have been the thing that would have been holding us back from growing our business further, or could have been the thing that holding us back from getting the promotion that we want on the job. Let's take the opportunity that we have here during this lockdown period to do something that will elevate us. So again, guys, have a great time. See you all on the next session on the conversation. Y'all take care.
All right. Good night.